Right, muri Zimbabwe tine rimwe .com ratinaro panapa rada kuti tikuonesei. Ya. Ewo veteran wokumasvingo anonzi Mashingaidzi 2024 akanga achitaura ane article rakatobuda richitenderera ma-streets e-social media. Iye mo veteran wati kutaura nezvake kuti apewa matractor atengwa nemari, apewa gejo nekiti ye-drip irrigation kuti asapote bill raimasodana nangako. Tutaura kuti 2024 manje apa akanga achiopoza nyaya 2030 achitaura mashoko ari against 2030. Zvese zvozvo zvakanyorwa internet yanakukanganwa. Ndofunga toda kuti muone article racho panapa, tichasiya article moona article iroro. Tinokutenda zvikuru nekutera kwenyu, but paarticle pange pakanyorwa kunzi masvingo Wovets say no to third term bid. Veteran in Masvingo have resisted the President Emerson Mnangagwa's third term bid, calling for him to respect the constitution by leaving office at the end of his term in 2028. Speaking to Zimtel News, one war veteran, Western Ezra from Masvingo, said it was unfortunate that some people were misleading the president, asking him to break the constitution. So ndofunga muri Zimbabwe mufananidzo wanga uri ipapo, mufananidzo waMashingaidzi ndiye anga akaiswa ipapo achitaura nyaya idzodzo. Saka ndio mamiriro zvakaita munyika yeZimbabwe. Isusu hatisi kumira kukupai nyaya dziri kubva mhiriko yemakungwa, nyaya dziri kutaurwa nevana vari mudiaspora vari kutipa information yakadzika-dzika ine chezvekuita nematongerwo enyika pano pachivhitivhiti chenyu.
And subsection section 95 subsection 2 does not deal with the total time a person can occupy an office, which is the tenure. So flipping confusing. So in the court's logic, even though they made mention of section 95 subsection 2, it is not a term limit extension, so therefore it must be excluded. And this is why Virginia Mabiza is excluding it from the list of the 15 term limit, provisions that are in that constitution. Right. So then now, I'm working with their reasoning. I'm working with their reasoning, and I'm also working, with the reasoning that is being given by the professor, which is their reasoning anyway. And I'm trying to work with what that constitution, is telling us. So in theory, if 95 subsection 2, which speaks of the period, the length of the time, if that thing can be amended, if it is amendable by parliament alone, right? Like what they want to do now to make it 7 years, they can take it to even 10 years, they are still allowed. They can take it even 20 years, they are still allowed under that reasoning. Because it only needs section 328, subsection 5, that they can amend this without a referendum. So the parliament could change the length of time, which is 95 subsection 2. They can change, that period, which the length of time is mentioned in section 143, the 5-year period, section 1143, which is the section that they want to change. So the parliament can extend the length of the term to 10 years, to 20 years, It does not matter. They are allowed, to do that according, to that, reasoning. But probably, this is probably where I might want to invite the legal experts to help us, because it is in my understanding and my belief now, as a result of the research, that I've done, that whatever ZANU-PF is about to do can never escape a referendum. Even if, they tell us, Kutizo, they can change 95 subsection 2 without the participation of the people. It does not need a referendum. To say, yes, we can do this without a referendum because we are relying on section 328, subsection 5. Right? But here is the critical, question. Okay, I am saying by extending this length of time, they can extend it by 10 years, by 20 years. And the crucial point that they are hammering home is to say it does not extend the total time in office. It does not extend the tenure in office. It does not extend the 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 terms. The term limit is still the same because it is not touching on 91 subsection 2. That is the argument. To say we can change the term length by how many years, we might want to change, but that does not affect the total time that once remains in office on the basis Yakuti, they are not touching 91 subsection 2, because that is one that speaks of the tenure, the amount of time that a person can serve in office, which is 2 terms. The argument is we are not touching that. So which means in terms of the term limits, the real gatekeeper that we have is 91 subsection 2. And this is why they are saying we are not touching 91 subsection 2 because it cannot pass quietly without a referendum. A person cannot serve more than 2 terms as a president. And any term, and a term is 3 or more years. For a term to be full, it has to be 3 or more years. So therefore, a person, even if they serve the first year, if they serve, 3 years, that counts as a term. If they're then elected again to go for the second term, they're only going to be serving, 5 years. But if we do decide to extend the length of these times, if we say the first year is going to be 7 years, like in this case, then the next term is going to be 7 years. It's not affecting anything because in terms of the term limit extension, because it's only 2 terms. Muna, I don't go save 2 terms zake. What is only different here is the amount of time, the length of the time, the amount of time in terms of the length of a term. That is what is being, played with here. So in his logic, or in his legal understanding, or in his understanding of the constitution, Ziambi made a decision to say we want to extend the length of the time from 5 years to 7 years. And even though that is going to amount to someone serving 12 years, like in the case of Emerson Mnangagwa, that does not constitute a term limit extension. It is only the length of time that is being extended, but it is not touching on the 2 terms. That is going to be the only difference here is that in one term it was 5, but in this term it is now 7. It is not the cumulative years that one has been in power that determines a lengthening of their tenure, but it is the two-term limits that are set in 91 subsection 2 that determines if we touch on that one and allow somebody to do another term, then it is something that cannot escape a referendum. Right. I hope in 3 days. I hope we are following. So they are saying that even if a term becomes 20 years long, for as long as a person serves their 2 terms, there's nothing wrong with that. Right? So even if parliament is going to extend, the term length, it does not extend the personal tenure of that president. So amendment number 3 is only coming in to change the electoral cycle. So they're not seeing why people are crying. We are not seeing why you people, are crying. But here's the thing. I think, the question that we need to be dealing with as a people. Good, okay, let us accept, their argument. Let us accept, that argument and say, okay, fine. 95 subsection 2 is not a term limit, provision, so therefore it is amendable by an act of, by parliament passing it with 2/3, majority. Fine. But you cannot have your cake and eat it. Here is the argument. Or here's the question. Does our constitution allow a situation where retrospectively someone can benefit? Does our constitution allow for a situation whereby retrospectively someone can benefit? I am indulging them. I am going, with their argument to say we are only changing, the length of time. We are not changing the tenure here. But the question is, can Emerson Mnangagwa benefit from the 2-year extension? Yet we know that his tenure, or his length of time was set when he was declared the winner in 2023. I hope you're following me. Can Emerson I've said with this, I am indulging them in their argument. Section 95, subsection 2 is not a term limit provision, therefore it can be changed, by parliament. It does not require a referendum. Fine, change it. But does the sitting president benefit from that? That is the question. They are saying that amendment number 3 is not extending a term limit, and therefore 328 does not apply. But I want to believe whatever it is that they want to do, Emerson Mnangagwa is still blocked from benefiting. Yes, we can agree section 328 subsection 7 applies only when the amendment is to a term limit provision. So if it is not a term limit provision amendment, then 328 8 subsection 7 does not apply. That is the correct, legal, reasoning when you're looking at that constitution. So what protects in this situation and in this instance, what is it that exists which is out there which protects the sitting president's tenure from being extended? Because that is the crucial point. If the amendment is not a term limit provision, then where does the safeguard come